Hello, everybody. This is Vince Russo. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch. We are here with the great Billy Body of the DirtySheets.com. We are going to give a little tease of what you're going to get on the Nitty Gritty Dirt Show. Billy brings us the news, the inside scoops of what's going to happen in pro wrestling before it actually happens. Billy, do your ears ring during the week? Because I'm constantly putting you over all week long, Billy.
No, I don't. I don't hear that. My ears. I see my stuff going out with other people, but yeah, I'm a little bit behind on my stuff. So if you want to shoot me out some little edits, I'll watch them.
Yeah, I need because I'm always quoting you. I'm always bringing you up about just the inside information that you bring to the show, the stuff that I love. Everything happens on TV for a reason. And, Billy can really, find out what those reasons were. You told us last week, don't talk about it here. It is over on patreon.com/Russo TWC, that Zelina Vega poisoning Montel Williams story, what that was really meant to be. And once you laid that out and explained it, there's no doubt in my mind that's exactly what happened. Bro, can you give us a little tease of what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, just the interest actually. What's the feedback you get back once? I imagine you're having these discussions with Stevie Richards, Disco, these Bin Hamini, these people we're talking about here.
Oh, no, bro. It's those people we're talking about. It's also everybody, on, part of Russo's brand that follows.
Subscribers. Okay.
Yeah, but also, no, bro, Billy and Stevie, listen, man, Ben has a whole army of spies, bro. He's got a whole interworkings of the WWE. And many, many times when I bring him your news, he's hearing it for the first time, bro. So, like, we even smarten up Bin Hameen here and there, which is not easy to do.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I mean, yeah. So some of the stuff, like I said last week, when we spoke about Velveteen Dream and spoke about the Selena stuff, this was just stuff that was quite easy to get. It was knocking around, and it even gets to talent. And I always find once talent have the news, it's pretty easy to get hold of, which surprises me why guys like Meltzer and that don't pick it up. And even this week, we got this story about Brock, which we're going to talk about specifically on the other side. I'm quite proud of the fact that we've always, over the last 4 or 5 years, always had Brock's exact contract and details and been able to break it down. And everybody seems to really struggle with this and they can't understand. Like, for instance, this week, his stuff gets taken down off .com, and Alvarez and Meltzer, who work on the same platform, have two different stories. On the other side, I'm going to tell you who's right, because one of them did get it right and one of them did get it wrong. So we have the ins and outs of the Brock Lesnar situation, how Roman and Heyman came about. I guess they're the key things that are relevant to what's on TV, and then a whole host of other stuff as well. Some information about WrestleMania and where it could be, etc. Yeah, there's plenty to go over.
Well, Billy, you have brought up Brock Lesnar's contract on the show before. I remember you speaking about it on the show before, so I'm sure we'll revisit that, bro, because even I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a work. I don't know if they took the stuff down online, as part of a story idea. So, like, I haven't put myself out on the limb because I don't know. That's what I have you for, and that's what you talk about. Billy, you said something interesting. I want to pick your brain about this for a second. You said a couple of minutes ago that once the talent gets information, it's not difficult to get from them. Bro, is that because do they not feel a loyalty to Vince McMahon and a loyalty to the company because maybe the way they're treated? I mean, why do you think they are so easy to give company information? I mean, I know I never did. I mean, bro, the dirt sheets hated me, bro, because even back then when I was working for the WWE, I buried these guys. I wasn't a Paul Heyman guy giving them information so he'd put me over in their dirt sheets. I buried those guys, and in return, they buried me. But I was loyal. I was loyal to Vince. I was loyal to the company. They were paying me. Why do you think talent gives up information?
It's not necessarily a case of talent giving up information, because that's certainly not where I get any of my info from. But it's a case of, what I mean by that is that once you get an item of news, and then sometimes I talk to some talents, and some talents are actually relying on me to give them information. For example, like when shows are, what we're doing here. I got a text from somebody this week going, do you know, with how, if Ray's legitimately injured, like that kind of stuff. So you get texts from talent as well. But I find, what I mean by what I said is, when talent knows, that means it's got away from the writers and the media people. So I get a lot of stuff from the guys that run the marketing and whatnot, because we know what's going to be coming in the magazines in the future. The publications almost get more information, so they know who to feature months ahead, which is why when I was talking to someone like Drew, for example, I was telling him they're going to do something with you, because the guy who works at WWE Kids magazine has told me that you are going to be featured a lot over the next 2 months. And the same thing with the guys at .com, were using Drew videos constantly. And I was explaining to him, who's a talent, that this means something. And then after that, he ends up winning the Royal Rumble. So that's how these kind of guys who run the marketing side of things find out stuff first, because they need to know how to plan ahead. Whereas the talents don't need to know anything, almost to the point where we get to Vince doing rewrites, and these guys may have planned out matches, finishes, and whatever, but it's not important, because they can just redo everything they've done, because they're just cogs in this wheel. Nothing needs to be planned ahead in the future. They can just change whatever match or finish they've come up with. So the talent's always the last to know. So what I mean by that is, once I can have this conversation with a talent, or I send a talent a text and I say, hey, do you know about Brock, or do you know about this Selena situation, or do you know why Velveteen Dream's not been fired? And the talent just says to me, yeah, we all know this. That's what I mean. I mean, it's very, very widespread.
Yeah.
It should be easy for Johnson, Meltzer, Satin all to pick up, but I don't know who these guys talk to. I don't know how they became sources. I don't know who the source of information is. I still think that some of these guys who are the more highly regarded ones, they speak to the press officer, Adam, and Adam feeds them little bits of information that they don't mind getting out, just so these guys don't snoop around and get stuff that I get that they don't want getting out. So I think a lot of them are fed through Adam, and that's why they don't get anything decent.
Yeah, and Billy's dead on, guys, because I could tell you, with all three companies I worked with, you have to give them information months in advance. The most important thing was the pay-per-view poster. So for months in advance, we would have to have some idea of who we needed them to put on the poster. That's why I know what Billy is saying is exactly true. There was a department in WWE called Creative Services. I don't know if they exist anymore. Maybe they changed the name of it, but I would have to let them know months in advance what was going to be on the poster. That was the direction we were going. So, I mean, Billy, you're dead on with that. I mean, I was in the system, and that's how it works. I never, ever heard any other dirt sheet laid out that way or explain things that way, but that's exactly how it works, and that's why you're getting that information.
And that's the thing, like when I was very confident that Drew wasn't going to lose the title at SummerSlam, it's because my guy had seen the video for Night of Champions, which is Drew McIntyre with the title. So he's not going to drop the title if he's in all the videos and posters for Clash of Champions with that belt. Just wasn't going to happen. They're not going to go back on that, especially posters, yes, videos, no. Once a video production has been done and they've been told that this is a direction, there's no way they're going back on it unless a guy gets a serious injury. So that was why we were able to make a lot of money on Drew for members. And we've just actually gone 100% at Payback this weekend with the betting packages.
Yeah.
So,
well, as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about lockbetting.com, but Disco confirmed on my show with him last week, like, bro, Disco, bro knows nothing about soccer. Absolutely nothing. I mean, he's here in the States. Soccer's big in the UK, and Disco was basically saying on the show last week how much money you made him in soccer, which he knows nothing about. So he is going 100% of what you're telling him. So, Billy, tell everybody about lockbetting.com.
Yeah, so lockbetting.com is my website where you can get all sports. You can get UFC, MLB, NBA, all the soccer. The soccer's coming back in the middle of September. You can also get WWE stuff. But if you just want WWE stuff, here at thedirtysheets.com, the $5 package will give you inside news that me and Vince will discuss on the other side. So you'll get to read about it first, and then you'll get to hear me and Vince discuss it. But the $40 package gets you WWE betting picks, UFC, and boxing as well. It's called a combat pack. But over at lockbetting.com, we've just come off another month where we've made $3,500 in profit. It's obviously not as high as last month, but as I was explaining to you, last month was all the bets we put for the future, where the start of the football seasons, where you can bet on who's going to win the league at the end of the year and where people are going to finish in certain positions and top scorers and whatnot. You bet those 8 months in advance, and then you get the cash at the end of the season. So it's like betting on the Super Bowl winner now. You won't get the payout till February. So that's why last month was so high. It was £7,555, which is over $9,500 that we made last month. So this month we made over $3,500, but you're still paying $125 to win $3,500. So it's just a no-brainer, and that's my 70.
That's insanity. Yeah, that's insanity, guys. I mean, yeah, I'm not recommending you do this, but guys, in this day and age, I've got to look at, where am I going to invest my money? You got the stock market, you got bonds, you got annuities, you got all kinds of stuff like that. Let me tell you something, Billy. I ain't getting that kind of return on my investment.
No, this is all that I see this as. Like we got the slogan there. It's like don't gamble on sports, invest in sports, and that's really what we do. And this is the 76th. This is the 76th month in a row that we've actually made a profit now. But I just want to give a little plug as well to my podcast, the Dirty Sheets. I'm quite proud of what we've done in the last few weeks, because I always feel like at the moment when I listen to the wrestling podcasts, and I do still listen to quite a few of them, I feel like, especially during this pandemic, podcasts have gone two ways. There's the podcasts that hate everything, and they'll bash every single thing that happens. And there's the podcast that will defend everything, to the point I remember this podcast telling me that Aleister Black and Apollo Crews, the night after WrestleMania, where they were given about 40 minutes, bored me to death. But apparently they had one of the best matches in the history of Raw with no crowds. And it was Black and Crews, and they were just telling us move by move by move by move. So there's two different types of podcasts, and there's very few that sit in the middle. And I all felt like that we were going towards a side where we were complaining a lot, and I was wondering if we were losing objectivity. We liked the product for the last couple of weeks. We liked the stories. We feel that, okay, it's not perfect, and some of the stuff doesn't make sense. But this is the first time, I think, over the last 2 weeks where I feel like it's taking the direction where if you put a board up and you wrote somebody's name up, you would at least be able to put stories next to them. It seems like they're looking at individual names from top to bottom, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the top is being focused on the most, which is the way it should be. I think that may be the problem. But in the case of Roman Reigns over on the SmackDown side, that's definitely the case. I think he's going to be a big character over the next few months. So I think that this has been much better over the last 2 weeks in terms of it's not boring me. And the fact is that we were able to acknowledge that on our podcast, where I saw guys that still complained and still complained and still complained. And I was quite concerned maybe that we were going down that path where we were becoming a complainy, boring show. But actually, if you listen to us the last couple of weeks, that's definitely not what we did. I'm really pleased with the show we put out this week. And if you do download our podcast, it's on iTunes, the Dirty Sheets. It's always going to be under an hour. We'll get you through a walk, we'll get you through a gym session, and we are objective. And we've definitely been objective over the last few weeks, because we're one of the only podcasts that I've heard that turn around and said that the product's got better.
Yeah, no, bro, we have, well, I mean, bro, we kind of make fun of the product and laugh at the product for entertainment's sake. But the WWE always does that, bro. They give you the glimmer of hope. All right, this is where they're turning the corner. This is it. Sometimes, maybe they'll give you 2 weeks in a row. But my gosh, bro, they never follow through. So they always give you that hope spot. You put the show over for a couple of weeks, then all of a sudden. So I'm just hoping that they can keep going in that direction. That seems to be the problem, bro. Consistency. And they can't do it week after week after week. That's what's missing, you know?
And that's the thing. It's particularly difficult for you because I see the comments online, and it's always the same shit where it's like, oh, Russo wants his job back, and all this kind of shit. I speak to Vince privately all the time, and he really doesn't. So, like, I think, like, and that's the thing. You have to be really more careful because you're going to be doubly criticized for being critical of the product because you always have that thing thrown at you. Whereas, and I obviously didn't want our podcast to go in that direction. But as I said, the last 2 weeks, obviously, the bar has been lowered, and you always have to take that into consideration in terms of what you're watching now and what you watched previously. The bar has been lowered. But the thing is that if you've reached this point of fandom, and I'm coming up to like 31 years now of watching this product, then you're not going to give up on it anyway. So, I mean, that's actually a story you've got on the other side in terms of a small business related story in terms of talking about projections for when NFL comes back in a few weeks and whatnot. We'll discuss that. But I think I consider myself a part of the core. And obviously, when I'm doing the show events and podcasts and whatnot, I don't even really have the option to opt out at any point. I also have a 9-year-old that watches it as well. But I think I would like the 9-year-old to continue to watch it and have a better interest. And I like the interest levels that he's had this week, because otherwise, you know, if things happen like Austin stops watching football and he stops watching wrestling, then all of a sudden that bond that you have and the things that you want to do together becomes reduced, and that's not really what I'm in it for. I want the product to be better so that we can continue watching it together, just like we both support Manchester United, who's our team, and I want that team to succeed. So our enjoyment the enjoyment of our sports team winning increases. The willingness to want to watch the sport. So it's just the same thing. Like, we support WWE the same way that we support the team. We don't want it to be shit, and we're not here to like bash it unless it's actually bad. And as I said on this podcast that we did this week and for the last couple of weeks, it has been a lot better. But again, as Vince said, we've seen spikes before, and they've not followed through with it.
Well, so Billy, did you say you had a clean sweep at Payback? Yeah,
clean. Do you know what the funniest thing was? Is that I did a prediction show which wasn't based on any information coming through. And if people listened to the Dirty Sheets prediction show, which is a free show, they would have got the clean sweep anyway, because we predicted all the results. But then we finalized it when we gave out the betting picks based on the information. But yeah, clean sweep. We didn't have that SummerSlam. We had the Garza Andrade match wrong.
Yeah. Well, Billy, tell everybody, give everybody all your contacts. We're going to hop on, Patreon right now. But before we do, tell everybody about your podcast, Lock Betting, DirtySheets.com, at DirtySheets.com. Give everybody all that info.
I think I've done it, but I'll do it again quickly. And then I actually want to ask you a question that came up from our podcast. I almost forgot. I should have done it at the beginning. It's really interesting. So this is the DirtySheets.com. As I said, wrestling news is there for just $5, or you can get the combat betting picks for $40. And lockbetting.com is where everything else is. My gambling Twitter is called @SGPEPL. Every month I pin the tweet. By the time you're seeing this show, actually, no, sorry, you're watching this live on YouTube. By tonight, there will be a pinned tweet for August's profit and loss. So you'll be able to see all the bets from August once I put that up later on tonight. At the moment, you can go and see July's. That's @SGPEPL. And my Twitter is DirtySheets.com for wrestling stuff. So that's @SGPEPL. And @DirtySheets.com are my two Twitters. And the last thing is my son's Instagram. He's been on it the last few weeks, but he's back at school tomorrow, so he's with his mum, and that's @Austin's Toys. So I'm going to ask you what I was going to ask you now. So we were actually doing our podcast, and we were doing the review of Raw this week, and this pediatric cancer stuff came up, and I was telling my colleague how I quite like it, and I like watching these videos and everything. And maybe that's the difference between one person being a parent and the other person not being a parent, because I don't mind their association with this charity. I quite like watching the stuff. I'm sympathetic towards it. So we were talking about obviously how that then took a turn towards introducing the Warrior Award, and comments that Stephanie made is that getting involved in charities is the way to win, and all these kind of things that she shouldn't have said. But we ended up going on to Warrior, and he asked me about my thoughts on him. And then I sort of touched on it and said that I want to keep this show short, so I don't want to talk about it for a long time. And he said to me, well, Vince is a big fan of Warrior and always liked him. And I've not seen anything anywhere where you ever spoke about Ultimate Warrior. So I said to him, I'd ask you that question on the show. I said I didn't know that Vince had any run-ins with Warrior, because obviously timelines don't match up to when you became a writer and he left. I know there may have been some crossover at the end of '96, but my colleague Cav is adamant that you're a big fan and like the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, bro, yeah, there was crossover, bro, and I had a tremendous relationship with him and his wife. I had a great relationship with them, bro. We hit it off, man. We hit it off because, bro, I realized that this guy was just on a different level. So, like, when he spoke, I wanted to listen. He was a motivator, and he had a brilliant mind, and he wasn't afraid to speak his voice. And bro, I gravitated towards him immediately, bro. So yes, I had a very, very close relationship with Warrior. I think very, very high of him. I don't care what anybody says. Billy, if I care what people said, you wouldn't be on the show right now. And
I heard that. I chipped in on one of your videos. So I gave you like a £5 donation while I was watching.
Oh yeah, I saw that. But yeah, no, Billy, I don't like to use the word judge, because I don't judge anybody, but I treat you as you treat me. And him and I, bro, had a phenomenal. I talk about him extensively in my book, bro. I love the guy. He was brilliant. He had a brilliant mind, bro. So that is 100% true.
Yeah, see, I couldn't find that. Maybe that's not the book I've read, because I've read how WCW killed Vince Russo.
No, it's the first book. It's the first.
I don't have that one, so maybe
I'll get that to you. I'll get it, because I'm gonna send Austin some stuff anyway, like I promised. I'm just hesitant to do it now because of the mail, so I'm just waiting until things get back to normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a discussion I'd like to have a more depth. Yeah. Maybe like we'll have you on for 20 minutes, and we'll on our show we'll talk about Warrior, because
he used to write, like he was writing, and bro, he would send it to me to read, and bro, like the guy was on another level. I mean, he was just on another level. But yeah, we could do a whole show about that. We could talk about that.
I got my piece over here. Let me grab this 1 second. I can still hear you, but you can't see me.
Yeah, guys, we are going to jump over right now, me and Billy, to patreon.com/Russo TWC. We're going to record Nitty Gritty Dirt Show. There you go.
That's my Warrior belt.
That's awesome, man. What belt is that?
The blue Warrior Winged Eagle.
That's awesome, bro. Wow.
It's one of my favorite bits.
Yeah.
But on the second half of the show, I'm going to show you guys a watch from '96 that never came out, and I won prizes on the WWE Superstar line. It was an 0891 number, and they never sent out the prizes. And somebody called me from a company in the UK, and they said, "Oh, we apologize. Like, what we're going to do is we're going to give you out something special that nobody else has got." And they sent me out these like Warrior watch that was discontinued because Warrior left the company before the watch came out. So I have this Warrior watch from '96 that I'll show you on the other side, which nobody else has.
Oh, that's awesome.
I suppose like maybe 10, 15 guys maybe have them because they were made, but they were never sold. So I have something that was never sold upstairs. So I'll show you in the second half.
Well, guys, we're going to go to Patreon. Like I said, guys, if you want to give Patreon a try, you want to try it now. It's the beginning of the month. They charge you the beginning of every month. Do it now so you get content for the whole month. We're going to talk about, I want to see how Reigns and Heyman came about. We're going to talk about Brock's contract, which I don't even know where we are with that. You can get all that, guys. Patreon.com/Russo TWC. Billy, I will see you on the other side. Everybody on Twitch, everybody on YouTube, thank you for your support. All right, bro. I'm just